Going live, and you are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Washington Commanders. And why the Washington Commanders 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me. It really does. Thank you. Or if anybody spends any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It really means the world to me. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, as I always try to do. Last night went almost about an hour. So you just start talking. It's amazing how fast the time flies by. But I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, just feel free to fire away. Throw it in the chat box. I check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes. So if I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. All right? So please feel free. Fire away. Before I get started, anybody wants to help support my channel, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, okay, I got the top link. It takes you to my membership page, okay? I got 3 different membership levels, okay? The top one is called, the first one's called the Saquon. The second one is called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third one is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them and everything. There's loyalty badges. Now, each loyalty badge is a different Giants football helmet. Now, the older the football helmet is that's associated with your name, okay, the longer you've been a supporter of my channel. If you get the leather helmet, all right, associated or next to your name, you've been a supporter of my channel for a long time, right? There's also there's emojis. I had them made up on Fiverr. They crack me every time I look at them. I get a kick out of it. There's 4 of them. Eventually, there will be a 5th one coming out, but right now there's 4 of them. You can use them in the chat box, or if you're going to put in a comment or something like that. Okay, so if you want to help support my channel, once again, it would mean the absolute world to me. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put out a video, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? Right now, I'm at 5. I just went over the 5,800 mark. 5,802 subscribers. Now, where did I start today? I started with 57, 76, 24. 20. So I've got 26 subscribers so far. So I'm probably well on my way to another 30. Tell you what, ever since the season's been over, I've been so lucky, right, that I'm getting at least a good 30 or so. I mean, what the hell did I get yesterday? Yesterday, I got, 30, 40. Yesterday, I got like 47 subscribers. I mean, it's just crazy. About 2 weeks or so ago, I went over the 5,000 mark. I mean, I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd get 5,000 subscribers. But let's see, there's about another week at the way we're going. I'm probably by like maybe next Tuesday or so, whatever. I should be right around the 6,000 subscriber mark. It's just crazy. So please feel free, hit the bell icon and hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. All right, and then 2 more things. They're in the description box below, okay? There's 2 Facebook links. The top one takes you to my group, the Facebook group, okay? It's called the New York Giants Gridiron. Everything I got is called the New York Giants Gridiron. It's a YouTube channel, Facebook group, Facebook page. It's all the New York Giants Gridiron, so an idiot like me can remember it all right? So I don't want to be getting different names and stuff like that because I'll forget it, right? But if you go to the top link, right, top Facebook link in the description box, it takes you to the group. Right now we have over 2,100 members in there. Somebody just put in something about Zach Didino. Just shared a link. What do we think about this? Why the Giants should let Saquon Barkley walk this offseason? Somebody from WABC Sports Radio put an article in there about maybe possibly letting Saquon walk. So, I mean, it's that's going to be very, very interesting about that. But I try to put like about 10 different posts in there every day, whether it's a video, a picture, something making fun of the Eagles or something making fun of the Cowboys. I try to put at least 10 different things in there every day. And as I said, and not only do I put stuff in the group every day, but if you become a member, you can post stuff in there as well, too. And we have members putting stuff in there every day. So there's a ton of stuff, Giant stuff going in the New York Giants Gridiron group every day. Then in the second Facebook link I have in the description box, okay, takes you to the Facebook page that I have, okay? It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. I know, very original, I know. But right now, there's 613 people like it. We have over 2,700 people following. I tell you, the followers are really jumping up on that. I tell you, it seems like every few days I'm going up like another 100 followers. It's really, really doing good. I'm the administrator in the group, okay? So I'm the only one who winds up posting anything in here. So at least I don't have to worry about other people posting stuff about selling T-shirts or anything like that, trying to sell stuff, right? Which winds up happening a lot in the group. But in the page right here, it's just me. So I try to put, once again, like at least 10 different things in there every day. There's a picture, a video, a post about something showing some stats about somebody, whatever. Right. So if you go to the page, okay, and you like it and become a follower, and you go to the group and become a member, between the two, there's at least 20 to 25 different items and videos and posts and everything in there every day. And I don't commingle. So basically, whatever I put in the group, I don't put on the page, and the same thing vice versa. I try not to mix. Every now and then, something gets put in both of them. But for the most part, I try to keep them separate. You know what I mean? So as I said, so every day there's a ton of New York Giants information. So go to the page, like it and follow it, and go to the group, become a member, and you get a ton of Giants information every day. If you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back. Guaranteed. All right, so all that stuff out of the way. All right. Well, the boys are back in town, right? We get Kafka and we got Martindale, okay? They'll both be returning. Well, I guess, the reason why the two jobs, the Colts and the Cardinals, were not filled were because they wanted to raid the Eagles. So the Eagles are going to be looking for, obviously they'll be looking for some, I'm sure there's a ton of qualified candidates out there. But the Eagles are going to be looking. I'm surprised nobody wanted to take like Eric Bieniemy from the poor guy. All he does is go to the Super Bowls. He's got a lot of knowledge up here. And for some reason, they're I don't know. They're rating the Eagles. Now, the Eagles, I said, once again, the Eagles had a phenomenal season. They had, a very well-built team. They're, obviously, they went to the Super Bowl. But, right, there's always the other side of the coin, right? They were one of the least injured football teams. They were like the fourth. I mean, the reason why the Jaguars won a division and the Tennessee Titans did not was because the Jacksonville, if you go to mangameslost.com, I don't know. I mean, you need a subscription, so I don't think you'll be able to see the stats if you don't have the subscription, right? But that's where I get my information at. Mangameslost.com. The Jacksonville Jaguars were by far the least injured team in all football this year. By far. They were the only team that had just double dip. I mean, they lost like 60 or 70 games or something like Man Games lost due to injuries. Every other team in the NFL had triple digits. The Tennessee Titans were by far the most injured team in football. Right? You put the two together, one team does good, one team does good, but one team does better than they're expected because they're not injured, right? And the other team does a lot worse than they're supposed to. Why? Because they're injured, right? So, it could be rocket scientists figure that out, right? But I said, if we go to the Eagles were the fourth least injured football team. Now, if you have a very good, well-built team, nobody gets injured, right? And you go to like I don't know, say an NFC Championship game, and you got to play the 37th string quarterback of the other team. Because why? Because they're injured. Well, you look pretty good then, right? I mean, sure, if you're the Eagles and you play an NFC Championship game at your house in your home, right? They deserve it, right? They're the best record and all that stuff they deserve. But I mean, and you play against a bunch of kindergartners, right? I guess you're going to look pretty good, right? So. I mean, there's reasons why, I mean, the Eagles were very good, without question, obviously without question, all around the best built team. The defensive line, their lines were just second to none, right? But I mean, there are reasons why they weren't injured. Okay. When they did have some injuries, like Jalen Hurts was injured and Lane Johnson was a little injured and stuff like that, what did they do? They lost at home to the New Orleans Saints 20-10. Right? But also we also look like with the Eagles too, as I said. I mean, a lot of it, they brought in Howie Roseman, their GM brought in guys, okay, the Eagles, and a lot of the guys, they have a lot of free agents. Every team does, but they have guys that will not be on the team. Okay, like James Bradbury. Let's go. I think I did this the other night, Gene. I got so many. Oh boy, I got so many. Nope. Here we go. This might be it. There we are. I got so many guys. Have so many links opened up here. I mean, they got some like James Bradbury. I mean, he's not going to be on the team next year, and his cap hit is $4.9 million. But not only that, James Bradbury, the Eagles are going to be paying. Look, James Bradbury is going to be on the Eagles' books for the next 4 years. So basically, what they did, and because the Eagles can't afford to pay these guys their regular salary, so what they did was they screwed up their salary. Not screwed up, but they kicked the can down the road. They screwed their salary cap, right? For the next 3-4 years, there's multiple guys on here. James Bradbury next year, his cap hit on the Eagles, he's not going to be there, okay, is $4.972 million. Then he's going to be $1.2 million in 2024 goes toward their cap hit, $1.24 million in 2025 toward the cap hit. In 2026, 4 years after he's off the team, he's still got a salary of 1.24 goes against the cap hit, right? He's off the team for 4 years, and he still goes toward the cap. So basically, what their GM did was to try to bring in many guys as they could, push everything, all chips, all in the middle. We're going all the way, baby. All the chips in the middle of the table. We don't care about next year or the year after that. We don't care if we screw up our salary cap. We don't care. All the chips in the middle of the table this year. Well, also because Jalen Hurts is, next year is his last year, right? Because that'll be his 4th year. He's a 2nd round pick, so they don't have a 5th year option to pick up on him, right? So next year is his let's see what's his cap hit. It's going up. It's going up a little bit. Let's see, Jalen's $4.888 million, by $4.9 million. That's his cap hit next year because he's a 2nd round pick. Okay, but after that, he's a free agent, or they're going to, right? They can franchise tag him or whatever they want to do. But, his salary's going up, right? So once his salary goes up, right, a lot of these players that they brought in going to go bye-bye because they can't afford them because you got to start paying Jalen Hurts by $40 million or so a year. So he's going to go from $4 million up to about $40 million, right? Obviously, not all in the 1 year. I mean, usually the first year of the contract, that's the cap hit might only be maybe 15 million or 20 or something like that because they give him some signing bonus and everything, and they can work it out. But I mean, eventually, his cap's going to go up. It's going to be 40. One of the years or so, the cap hit could be maybe $50 million a year, right? So, but they pushed all the chips in the middle of the table to win this year. Okay, because they know they're losing a lot of guys. Then this guy here is, Isaac Samolo, their guard. Okay, same thing with him. He's 30 years old. He had a very good season, very good. Their whole offensive line is freaking just unbelievable. They have a very good offensive line coach too. But Samolo Let's see. Same thing here. The next 4 seasons, he won't be on the team, but he's going to have cap money. His cap hit next year will be $7.5 million. It's like void year. You know what I mean? We'll bring you on, all right? And we'll pay you for the next 3,000 years, okay? That way we can bring on all these good guys. We don't care about the salary next year or after that. And we don't care. It's all about this year right now. We got to win the big one this year. So we'll just sign you for the next 3,000. See, I mean, you'll be a free agent, so you won't be on the team after 2022, but we'll be paying you for the next 7,000 years. We'll pay you $1 million a year for the next 8 million years. That's what the Eagles did with some of these players. So Seumalo, he's, 2023, 24, 25, the next 4 seasons, he has a cap hit against their cap. Next year, it's $7.5 million. Why? Well, because they couldn't afford probably to pay him his full salary this year. If they, right, and then they couldn't bring in Bradbury, they couldn't bring in Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph and Brad, all these other guys they couldn't bring in. That's why they had such a good team. Okay, so let's not forget that. Okay, they're screwing with the salary cap. So as I said, Isaac Seumalo is going to be paying. He's got a cap hit on the Eagles team for the next 4 years. Right, once again, one of the reasons why they had a very good team. Right. See, a lot of GMs are trying not to do that. Like Shane's not trying to do that. He's trying to wipe the books clean. What do we have to work with this year? That's what I want to work with this year. The money we have next year, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to screw with it. Right. If Howie Roseman wants to do that with the Eagles' money, right? Screw with their salary cap, because he wants to push all the chips in the middle of the table. Well, that's on him. That's not on me, right? I'm going to try to, right, work it 1 year at a time, right? If we got money next year, I don't want to screw with it, right? So, with Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles, it almost paid off. I mean, he got to the Super Bowl, right? Didn't win a Super Bowl. Now you got to pay the piper, right? So, once again, let's keep little things in mind here. It's not like the Eagles are like the greatest team of all time or nothing. I mean, there's reasons why. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. But a lot of their players are going bye-bye after this season because they can't afford to pay them. They barely have enough money, I think, right now, maybe to sign their draft class. Right, so a lot of these players are going bye-bye. James Bradbury will be one of them too. But the one nice thing, the Giants, right, they got Kafka coming back. They got Martindale coming back. And obviously, what I want to thank is the Eagles for that, too, right? I said because they got, they got rated, right? Dable keeping both the Giants core and Kafka and Wink. Now, Kafka was in on like 4 different jobs. I mean, he had Colts, the Cardinals, the Panthers. I think it was one other team he interviewed for. Wink just had the one, right? But Kafka. So I mean, it just goes to show you. I mean, it just with Wink, it's just kind of weird. I mean, he's been like a defensive coordinator since like 1986. Going back to Defiance College, his alma mater, okay? Going back to the frickin' 80s, okay? So he's been coaching for almost, about over 36 years, right? This will be like year 37 coming up. I mean, so he's been around. I mean, he was a defensive coordinator, then he was at Notre Dame, then he was at Cincinnati, Western Illinois, Western Kentucky. Then he came after Western Kentucky. He was their defensive coordinator and inside linebacker coach from 2000 to 2003. Then he was with the Raiders, right, since 2004. He was the Broncos defensive coordinator in 2010. He was the Ravens linebacker coach, and then he was the Ravens defensive coordinator for 4 years, 18 to 21, right? Then obviously now he's the Giants defensive coordinator. And, he's got a Super Bowl ring, right? So, I mean, he's been around for a long time. It just kind of makes you wonder, as well of a job as, a decent job. You know what I mean? We certainly made improvements this year. Okay. I don't know if he doesn't maybe have the right vision for a lot of these teams. He doesn't interview well. It's tough to say, but the guys, the Giants, everything got better last year. Okay. Everything, points for and points against, everything got better. Now in 2021, the Giants were giving up 24.5 points a game. All right. Then they went for 21.8. So they almost went down 3 full points per game. Okay. Now, as I said, let's not forget, okay, in 2021, Xavier McKinney was there the whole time. We had Logan Ryan, Jabrill Peppers. We had James Bradbury. We had Adoree Jackson, right? Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, right? Azeez Ojulari. We didn't maybe have Kayvon, but, we had, I was going to say Blake Martinez, but he got injured. But, so the Giants had some good players, right? This year, right? Azeez Ojulari was out a lot. He only had a couple hundred snaps the whole season because he was injured a lot. Xavier McKinney missed some time. We had no defensive interior line depth whatsoever. Our inside linebackers were like non-existent, especially against the run game, right? And we came down 3 points per game almost. So, we gave up some yards, absolutely. But, and obviously there were some games there without question where we were overmatched, especially in the run game, right? But as I said, you see that, against better better offensive lines, went up against, our defensive front, usually sometimes we got manhandled, especially you look a couple of those Eagle games, right? They ran the ball very well against us. But you look at what he had, okay, compared to, the numbers got better. We went down a field goal game, which is rather impressive. I said, but look what he had to work with. I said, you go look what the Eagles had. Let's see here. All right, the Eagles with John Gannon. Okay, the Cardinals hired him. All right, as a new defensive. There's a new offensive. There's a head coach. He got a 5-year deal. Okay, so the Cardinals hired Gannon. That's why everybody was in limbo. Who are the Cardinals going to hire? Well, they were waiting for the Super Bowl to get over. So they got Gannon. All right, Kyler Murray had a horrible season last year. Horrible. So what did they do? They brought in a defensive-minded coach. So we'll have to wait and see. But, some of it just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit, right? It's like, look what, let's see, 2021. Yeah, right, next season. Gonna do that? No, we'll do this right here. 2022. Eagles had all of those sacks. They had 4 guys over 10 sacks, or actually, I think over 11 sacks. First time ever, they had 70 sacks, 2 shy of the record. Of course, they played 17 games. The record was 72 when the team only played 16 games. So if the team who had the record had, the Bears played 17 games, they would have had many more sacks. So, they got to keep things in perspective there. Okay. But but look who we had to, it's like points against, right? They gave up 20.2. So basically the Eagles gave up 1.5 points per game less than the Giants did. The Eagles gave up 20.2. The Giants gave up 21.8, 1.6 points per game less the Eagles did. With all of these guys, they had two first number 1 corners, basically, with Slay and Bradbury, right? That's why, like in the playoff game, our outside, our Hodgins and Slayton had 2 receptions for 7 yards, right? Because they were able to shut them down. I said the defensive front with all those sacks and everything. So you look at what the guy had to work with, right? let's see. So that was okay. The first game of the season against the Lions, who were not very good in the beginning of the season, they gave up 35 points to the Lions, 32 to the Commanders. They lost. They gave up 33 points to the Packers when they were at home. Aaron Rodgers was injured in that game, and they still gave up 33 points. They gave up 40 points to the Cowboys. They gave up 38 points in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, they gave up 24 points in the second half. They couldn't stop the Chiefs. The Chiefs were just walking up and down the field. When they had to stop them at the end of the game, right? Couldn't. Chiefs still got right in the field goal range down there, right? Kicked the field goal, kicked the game-winning field goal, right? So, I mean, sometimes you got to look. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I said maybe Wink's doesn't interview well. Who knows? But I mean, I think what Wink did with what he has. I mean, and there's also, I mean, one of the Eagles. Their inside linebacker is also a free agent as well too, and the Giants maybe some people thought about maybe the Giants picking up their inside linebacker as a free agent. I mean, they had guys all over the place. I mean, good quality. They were bringing in Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, all the I mean, what he had to work with, right, compared to the amount of points they gave up. I mean, they gave up just about as many points as we did on Wink Martindale. And Wink had a lot less to work with. So, but once again, the Eagles lost. That's our game. We're getting Wink back. But the nice thing about with Wink is that now this will be the second season. That, as I said, Joe Shane can go up to him and say, okay, we know what we got. Okay, how can we make it better? What are you going to want in the draft, or what are you going to want in free agency? Right, to help me take the next step here. Now, obviously, you don't know how much longer Wink will be around. I mean, if he winds up being, somebody winds up hiring him as a head coach, so you might be on borrowed time or something, right, with him. But you got it for next season. So I mean, they can go to him and say, what do we need to take the next step? What do we need to, get some more sacks, get some more interceptions? They got to get more interceptions. They have to get more interceptions without question. But having Wink back is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I'm so happy he's back. I mean, really, really good. Now, with Kafka, all right. Now, let's see here. Kafka is coming back. They will keep in Kafka because he lost out on the Cardinal job. All right. Now, let's see here. Liston hired. Whoops. Yeah. They got, as I said, I mean, Kafka, he lost out on it because the Cardinals hired Jonathan Gannon, all right, the defensive coordinator. But then with the Colts, okay, they hired the Eagles offensive coordinator, okay. Now, as I said, we can do this kind of almost the same thing here. Now, the Eagles put up Shane Steichen, right? Their offensive coordinator for the Eagles. That's who the Colts got, right? They hired him. They went offensive, all right, okay, right? But I mean, it's the same thing there, right? I mean, the Eagles. What the hell did they get? The Eagles put up some points this year, without question, right? They averaged 26 points a game in 2021. Last year, they averaged 28 points a game. So they went up about 2 points a game. They were third in the NFL, third out of 32. They averaged 28.1 points per game. All right. Very, very good. But once again, let's look what he had to work with. Okay. You don't need phenomenal running backs. Okay. They had a nice, a nice collection. All right. Obviously, Boston Scott, right? Sanders, right? They had a nice collection of running backs, but yet they had Jalen Hurts. Best offensive line in football. The guys basically weren't basic for the most part. Lane Johnson, I think, might have missed a game or something like that. But, I mean, for the whole year, they had the best offensive line in football. They basically were not injured, right? They all worked together. Dallas Goedert, very good tight end, very solid, very, very good tight end. But then what did they do? They went out and they got Brown, right? Howie Roseman, he's a wheeler and a dealer, right? He's got to be, all kinds of wheeling and dealing, right? So that's what he did in the draft. He traded away some picks and he wound up signing Brown, okay, for like about $25 million a year. Okay, so now what does that give Hurts? It gives him DeVonta Smith and gives him Brown. And once again, both of those guys were healthy all year long, right? It wasn't like, one of them missed the whole season, the other one missed 7 or 8 games. Now, all year long, those two guys were healthy, okay? So, I mean, you can look at like Shane Steichen, like their offensive coordinator, and, what a phenomenal job he did with the Eagles. And as I said, they did, great, no question about it. But I said, once again, they weren't injured, okay? I mean, like when they did miss, Hurts missed some time, okay? They lost both games, right? I mean, they lost. I think it was back-to-back games. I think it was, right. They lost to the Cowboys. That's 2020. Okay, they lost to the Cowboys, right? And then they lost to the Saints. They lost back-to-back games. They put up 34 points on the Cowboys, but their incredible defense gave up 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys, what did the Cowboys got? Cowboys got 419 yards of offense. They had 25 first downs. They were just walking up and down the field. So was the Eagles offense, too. The Eagles offense did a very good job, too. But then the next week, with Hurts out, they only scored 10 points. They lost 20-10, right? So when Hurts was injured, okay, see, when the Eagles had some injury problems, they were 0-2. The rest of the season, when everybody was just hunky-dory and healthy, right, they were, 14-1, okay? So they're lucky they weren't injured. But, I mean, with their offensive core and what he had to work with, the best offensive line in football, 2 stud wide receivers, right? So that's what Howie Roseman did. He said, well, we got DeVonta Smith. We need someone else, right? You got to have that other guy. Well, that's what he went out and did because he knows he has some draft picks coming up. He knew he has 2 first-rounders coming up this year and all. So what he did, he traded some draft capital away. He went and signed A.J. Brown, right, to a nice big deal, right? Brought him in. So now he has Brown and he has DeVonta Smith. Right. So that gave Jalen Hurts, and obviously, let's not forget Jalen Hurts. What a phenomenal athlete he is, especially in the run game. Okay. So, I mean, you got to look at, the Eagles coaches, they might be like hot prospects and this, that, and the other thing. But once again, look at what they had to work with. Look what Mike Kafka had to work with compared to what the Eagles had to work with. I mean, the Giants had injuries on their offensive line. Their offensive line at times was rather porous. Okay, look at the weapons Daniel Jones had to throw to. It was like, right? We pulling guys off the Buffalo Bills practice squad, signing Richie James to a 1-year deal. We don't even know if we're going to bring him back or not. Sterling Shepard was injured. Kenny Golladay, our $18 million guy, sat the whole year on the bench. Traded away Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard got injured, Wan'Dale Robinson all our main weapons all got injured. If that happened to the Eagles, all their top weapons got injured, they're not going to the Super Bowl. Nope, not happening. But it happened to the Giants. So I said, you look, it kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. Like, what are these teams looking at? I mean, what the Giants did with what Kafka did with calling the plays, obviously it's, Dable's offense, maybe a little Kafka mixed in there, but Kafka called the plays. But I mean, look what we did with what we had, okay? And then look what the Eagles did with what they had, right? I mean, kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit like that, So, I mean, now Steichen's going to have his work cut out for him because he's going to go to the Colts, and they don't have that good of an offense. So he's going to have his work cut out for him. But once again, the Eagles loss winds up being the Giants game, okay, without question, right? The Giants now have 2 years. Now you got I mean, Kafka got like 4 different job interviews. All right, so there's a good chance, clock is ticking. Right? Yeah, it might be just a matter of time, especially if the Giants do. If we can get ourselves a nice little weapon or something like that, maybe bring Saquon back, get the offensive line a little bit better, we start scoring some more points, whatever, Kafka is going to be a hot prospect. I mean, that's if the Giants do well, and he might be a hot prospect. especially next year and after that or whatever. So Kafka's time might be coming down, dwindling away with the Giants. But it's just nice to know, okay, that at least for next year we can keep building, keep the process going. I mean, don't get me, if Kafka's gone, there's other guys out there. It's not like the world's coming to an end. There's nobody out there. The Giants are going to have to disband as a team, fold up. Mara's going to, and Tisch are going to have to sell the team, and just the team will be no more because we can't replace Kafka. There's a trillion guys out there. Yeah, might be a little difficult to replace, okay, but there's guys out there, right? And the way that especially with college and all of that, everything is so competitive. Everything is, it's just there's for every one guy you lose, right? I mean, I said, I'm not saying it's going to be easy to replace him. I'm not saying you just go, oh, all right, we'll take you. Yeah, come on. No, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you lose, and for every Kafka you lose, you got to find the right guy. But I mean, there's got to be 4, 5, whatever, 6, 10 guys out there to replace him. I mean, you got to find it's not going to be easy, but you can find them. And it's the same thing with Wink. Right? The one different thing is that Kafka's calling the plays for basically Dable's offense. I mean, might be a little Kafka mixed in there or something, people have maybe some ideas and some different plays get put in, but probably for the most part, a majority of it is what Dable going on inside his mind. Okay. And you figure if worse comes to worse, what did Kafka do? And you really don't want to have this happen, but what did Kafka do? He was calling plays. So if Kafka goes bye-bye, okay, what could Dable do? He can call plays, right? I mean, he called plays before. Said you really don't want the head coach calling the plays, but if that comes out to that, it comes down to that, right? But I mean, Dable will be there if he has to call plays for his offense, right? So his offense ain't going nowhere, right? The thing is with Martindale, if Martindale leaves, all right, now you're taking his defense, I mean, it's kind of tough to replace what's going on inside that guy's mind, okay? Because he's coming up with new stuff every week. He has to come up with different schemes, blitzes, and everything every week, right? So it's going to be really tough to replace that. Are there other defensive coordinators out there? Of course, there's a ton of them out there, right? I mean, will we be able is there somebody as good as Wink Martindale? Oh, yeah. Is it going to be easy to find it? Oh, no. But there's guys out there. You can find guys out there, who can do just as good as Wink. However, the thing is, when Wink goes, he's taking his defensive scheme for the most part and everything with him. So the new guy that comes in, the question is it's like, all right, say whoever comes in, right? Say Bill Parcells comes in, wants to be the defense coordinator. All right, Bill. Well, I'll tell you what. Whatever you think about defense, okay, that's great. That's fine and fancy. But what we've been running here is a Wink Martindale. So that's what we want you to run it. Yeah. Or are they going to let the guy, the defensive coordinator, come in and give him the keys to the defense? Kind of like what they did with Martindale. Here you go. Here are the keys to the defense. You call your own play. So the thing is, if Martindale goes, they bring somebody new in, especially maybe somebody high, maybe high profile. A lot of times guys come in high profile, they're going to want to call their own plays. If I'm going down with the ship, I've been in the league for 33 years. I've been coaching for 33 years. I'm not coaching somebody. If I'm coaching my defense. If I'm going down with the Titanic, we're going down I'm not going down with somebody else's. We're going down with my defense, right? So the problem with that is that the guys that got on the defense, right, may not fit the guys' schemes and all. So we might have to start letting some guys go, bring in some new guys. That's the problem. I said on offense, it'd be tough to replace Kafka. Sure. Can we do it? Yep, absolutely. But the core, the offensive system will still be there. And I said, if worse comes to worse, Dable can call the plays. I said, you really don't want that. You want the head coach to, have a clear mind, so he's worrying about everything else. But if worse comes to worse, Dable can call plays, right? The problem would be with the defense, right? It's because if Martindale goes, you might bring somebody else in who's probably going to want to run his own style defense. And, some of the players, may not fit well with the new style of defense. So, but at least we don't have to worry about that. But hey, we got to thank the Eagles. Now, of course, you don't know if the Eagles say stunk. Okay, would Martindale and or Kafka be gone? Right, so we do owe the Eagles a little bit of favor, right? So their loss is our gain. So at least for one more year, we'll have the trifecta there. We're gonna have Coach Dable, we're gonna have Mike Kafka calling plays, right, and we're gonna have Wink Martindale. So doing good. Well, guys, it's been 40 minutes. Anybody spent any time watching me? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It really means the world to me. I greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody spends any time at all watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.